The Kellogg-Mount Scott watershed has been out of focus, form, and function for the last 160 years. Over that time, knowledge and reflection has led to one singular conclusion.
Milwaukee was founded right around the same time, 1850s, and so nobody can remember a time when Kellogg Creek actually flowed into the Willamette River.
So Kellogg Lake was created in 1858 when the original Kellogg Dam was put in to power a grist mill. The grist mill was called the Standard Mill, and it was built by one of Milwaukee's founders, Joseph Kellogg.
The dam and the highway above it have been a part of our infrastructure here and our life here in Milwaukee really since its founding, and it has only gotten more entrenched through the years. The highway's still here, the mill is gone, so you kind of have to ask yourself, why do we still have the dam? It's complicated by several factors. One is there's a highway running over top of it and that highway's not going anywhere. It's complicated by the fact that fish passage here is very much impacted by hydrology. That is the rate and speed of water movement. It's also complicated by the fact that what's upstream of this dam is contaminated. The lake bed has been filled through the years with all kinds of sediment runoff. There's probably actually been illegal dumping right in the lake. And finally, obviously, there's a funding challenge. Nobody has the money to do it.
Yet the vision of dam removal and a healthy, vibrant watershed lives on.
This is the beginning part of Kellogg Creek. So what happens here affects Kellogg Creek, but not only does it affect Kellogg Creek, is Kellogg Creek and then Mount Scott Creek. So what we're doing here, even though here we are in Johnson City, Oregon, far away from anything, actually impacts Astoria, Oregon. When it rains a lot, is this wetland here will absorb some of that water and it will slow down its flow. In conversations we've had with neighbors downstream, they recognize the value of our Hearthwood Preserve and say, yeah, we know.
Knowledge came to a local church from a watershed far, far away.
We have a relationship with Bolivia, working on root causes of poverty and hunger, and particularly water is what they have focused on. So each of our churches decided to investigate that. And so we thought about doing the Willamette or the Columbia. And then somehow somebody mentioned, well, you know, we have a creek on the back of our property here. And then we started saying, you know, we need to do something about that. We also found out then that the city was doing, thinking about removal of the dam. And we thought, oh.
For about 14 years, the city of Milwaukee has been working with state and other local jurisdictions to find ways to improve our local natural habitat and integrate it with a downtown plan that will really promote Milwaukee as a place where we can all live, work, and play and have access to natural open spaces. By removing the Kellogg Dam, we do all of that.
There's only one map that shows what this area would have looked like before the dam was built in 1858, and it's an original survey that was done in 1851 when Milwaukee was first being settled. And it depicts Kellogg Creek as a meandering, free-flowing creek.
Standing under McLaughlin Boulevard, and only because the water is so low can I do this. But what people I think don't realize is the opportunity here to be able to connect downtown Milwaukee to the east and the Willamette River and Riverfront Park to the west with this project. There is about 20 feet of clear space above me from where I'm standing, and this floor is actually going to lower when we do this dam removal project. The amount of space side to side and top to bottom is going to allow for us to put an undercrossing in here so that the long-awaited dream of being able to connect downtown Milwaukee to their riverfront without having to cross McLaughlin Boulevard into traffic is part of what this project's trying to do.
This is a project that really stands out in the region as one that is going to provide a multitude of benefits, ecological, social, public health related, cultural.
We're extremely excited at the Watershed Council that the City of Milwaukee has been moving forward toward removing the dam, and we are eager to do our part, to be a partner in any way that we can.
Some people in our church are not, because they remember the history of the lake and when it was more pristine.
Based on interviews that I conducted with Milwaukee citizens, I found that during the 20s, 30s, and 40s, Milwaukee citizens used and recreated on the lake quite extensively. They ice skated on it, they fished in it, they swam in it. Most of the private properties that surround the lake had docks that went out into the lake, and people used those all summer long and really shared a lot of great memories on Kellogg Lake.
Some people thought that the lake, when we started talking about this in church, was part of the sewer system. That was the holding tank. So,
Mid-1950s, there was a real estate firm in Milwaukee called Kronberg Brothers. And they struck a deal with a gravel company that was on the Willamette River, where they would have the gravel company dump refuse gravel that couldn't be sold because of its size, straight into Kellogg Lake. And that dumping spurred a period of kind of community disgust and neglect towards the lake. The dumping went on for about 1 decade, while the lake's immediate neighbors tried extensively to stop the dumping. They took the Kronberg brothers to county court and then eventually to state court. And after about 10 years, they did stop the dumping, but not before over 50,000 cubic yards of refuse was dumped into the south shore of Kellogg Lake.
Here we are on the banks of the Kellogg Lake, only a stone's throw from downtown Milwaukee. And you really wouldn't know this place is here unless you actually got down and tried to fight your way towards the banks to the shore. And this is really kind of illustrates the opportunity we have. You know, there's really no way to get down to the water here.
So I'm facing the main stem Willamette River, and if we're thinking like a fish here, you've got Kellogg Creek coming out behind me, passing over the small dam, and this dam has created a real impediment for native fish, juveniles, to take shelter in areas like Kellogg Creek. And from the perspective of Willamette Riverkeeper, it makes a lot of sense to take this dam out. This is the kind of project that can yield tremendous benefits for native fish like coho and other species that need that connection, that natural connection that has been around for millennia, from big rivers to their tributaries. And a tributary like Kellogg Creek and the connectivity to the Willamette could be essential to a range of species.
A large, shallow, warm, basically mud puddle. And it became impossible for the fish to make their way through this into the upper reaches, particularly with an abundance of non-native fish that had taken root here in the warm water. And we lost our fisheries.
This area, based on the interviews, this area was predominantly agriculture, all up and down Lake Road. And agriculture at that time used highly toxic pesticides like DDT.
For well over 20 years, there's been organizations working upstream from Kellogg to provide restoration efforts so that we can eventually get fish back up into those streams and provide spaces for people to recreate and have this natural space in harmony with our urban surroundings.
Sad to see our older friends go because it's probably, I don't know, like 6 or 8 years old when we put it in. But Beaver does what the Beaver does, and the Beaver creates a stream that's really cool and complex. It's great for the salmon world. So those two live together.